Anyways, now where was I? Twitter files. Okay. Lead up to the 2020 presidential election, Yoel Roth, along with many other of these content moderators, if you saw the exchanges they were having, were constantly dealing with each Trump tweet and each, conservative or pro-Trump tweet on a case-by-case basis. And ultimately, what they ended up doing was they refined the rules so that they acted faster and faster and faster to basically label and deboost and de-amplify any of these tweets from people like Jim Jordan, Mike Huckabee, Jody Heiss, although Jody Heiss I don't think is anyone worth remembering, who's just a congressman, a conservative congressman. But in any event, what we've been seeing from James Woods, another person, Dinesh D'Souza, a bunch of these other people, all of them getting deboosted and de-amplified, and some of them getting 12 hours suspensions and then permabanned. It's basically come to the point where we know that this stuff has been happening, and everybody now today has been gaslighting us who have been actually thinking that the Twitter file dumps are a big deal, to then say, oh, we always knew this was happening. Jay, I mean, like, at this point, I'm ready to run through a motherfucker's face.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and the funny thing is like people were banging this drum and talking about it and saying it was happening, and they all lied to everyone about it. And the common excuse was, oh, these are the terms of service. They're going against the terms of service and all that kind of stuff. And where it really didn't hold any water when you're talking about terms of service was especially the case when it came to stories, the Hunter Biden laptop story. And then they changed their TOS when COVID came out to be able to just ban people for asking questions on COVID. They would change it on a whim and go on it. And these Twitter files also showed that a lot of it was nothing to do with algorithms whatsoever, because they would excuse it to, it's a computer program, it's algorithms. They look for the words or the tweets and they do it. It was actual human beings that went up and made those decisions, especially right. We find out Yoel Roth and Vagina were very involved in making sure that different accounts got banned, different accounts got deboosted, what kind of content they needed to shut off. All of that was done by a decision from management, even though they came out repeatedly over and over again and lied to everyone's faces about how this was actually being run.
Yeah. I think what really is obviously the biggest takeaway in all of this is just how overbearing these content moderators were at Twitter. Yoel Roth et al., Vagina Gade, every single one of these fucks would hover over anyone that they deemed to be a threat to their grip on power, i.e. Democrats running the show. And they would excuse any Democrat, whether it be from the Biden campaign, whether it be an activist, you name it, they would excuse their actions on Twitter if they were spreading what many would perceive, if it was tweeted by someone on the right who was pro-Trump, it would immediately be labeled as election misinformation. It would be considered a quote-unquote threat to democracy. That there were countless examples, and one thing I want to show you is this example of when they acted specifically on one individual. Why can't I fucking find it? This is gonna kill me, Jay. This happens every single time. They specifically were looking at the issue of mail-in voting, because in the lead up to the 2020 election, everyone was obviously focused on COVID and whether, it was safe to even go in person to vote. But let me just show you, every time, Trump said something like, oh, it's a rigged election, they would flag and label that tweet, and they would not let people basically be able to share and repost it. And if they shared the screenshots of it, and it made it, and it was, say, someone who was more sympathetic to the president's point of view, President Trump's point of view, then they were ended up being banned and suspended. It was so over the top that you could go over. Oh, here's the perfect example. Let me share my screen.
And what's really amazing about that too is that any claims of Russia collusion or any claims of Russia hacking or any claims of any of this stuff was boosted. They weren't deboosted.
Yeah. Right, they're boosted. Or even just by the fact that they weren't touched, that was basically a tip of the hat saying we agree with you because we will not censor you. Therefore, you get basically a wink and a nod.
Right.
Well,
and also another thing to your point here, when you're showing this, any claims of SCOTUS being delegitimized is election denialism.
Yeah. So let me read. Denialism. Yeah. So back at this ABC News tweet from October 27, 2020, specifically highlighting Chief Justice John Roberts administering the judicial oath to Amy Coney Barrett as she had officially joined the Supreme Court, replacing the late Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Elijah Daniel quote tweets them saying, "This is so disgusting and terrifying. They're going to try to steal the election. You have 1 week. If you haven't voted yet, don't mail, drop it off, or vote early. If you can't vote, make sure your family is. Unless they're Trump supporters, just let them forget. Hashtag vote them out." Look how the mods respond to this. One of these people said, "Hey team, can I get your opinion on this tweet? This is an edge case with commentary and encouraging voters not to vote by mail. I believe we should label it." And then Patrick Conlon, who's one of these content mods along with Yoel Ross, says, "I think that I'd not bother with labeling this one. It's still encouraging people to vote, but expresses the concern that mail ballots might not make it in time, which seems fair this close to the election date. Still encouraging people to turn in their ballots in person or to vote in person." Okay, thank you, Patrick. They just, not even a single ounce of pushback. It's
not at all.
It's absolutely insane. And it continues to, it gets even worse. The fact that you have, I'm such a boomer. I had the share screen and then I removed it. Of course, this is what Absolutely. I do. Rick Rossner responding about the U.S. Postal Service, saying that they are specifically, deliberately trying to basically steal the election for Donald Trump. And this is how they responded. Yoel Roth literally responds saying, "Not seeing the violation here." And then Patrick Collins saying, "I wouldn't label. I think that's encouraging people to vote, but to be realistic that a mail ballot might not make it in time." It's literally them saying, we're not going to label this because they're right and we agree with them.
Oh, absolutely. And the thing is like, that's not the only thing that they were saying. They're saying that the USPS is colluding with with the Trump administration to not mail your votes in. Like this is an even bigger conspiracy. And it's as big of a conspiracy as saying like the election was stolen. It's as big as the conspiracy as saying, people were allowing dead people to vote, like all of that kind of stuff. It's as big as all the stuff that they will label. And they're not going to label. And then
they wouldn't even label the former Attorney General Eric Holder under Barack Obama, who tweeted, it's in October 27, 2020. "It's too late to use the mails. Given the Supreme Court rulings, I urge everyone to now vote in person. Early vote or use drop boxes. Protect your health, but don't let the court and the deliberately crippled Postal Service deprive you of your most precious civil right. Plan your vote." And then this is how they responded, Jay. Yoel Ross says, "Hey folks, can we reverse the label on this tweet? Because they originally labeled it as election information."
And then he's like, everything in it is factually accurate.
And then it's working on reversing it now. And then dude. And they're
well, it just
look at the turnaround time. 8:56 in the morning to they finished that shit in 12 minutes. Resolved in 12 minutes.
It's because everything we were talking about in the beginning of all of this and saying that Twitter does not fairly, moderate their content. We were told that that's false. We were told that's false because it's used with an algorithm. It's not, and then other people review it. but we're shown that they have a fucking team of people that go and physically label all the tweets themselves, that physically review it themselves, that make sure that they can attach a label to each of the accounts themselves that they disagree with, to make sure they come up to them to review and to make sure to label as quickly as possible. While everyone else can make these fucking outrageous claims about election, about the USPS Postal Service, all of these things, as long as they are on the left, they have a free pass to say whatever the fuck they wanted on Twitter.
Yeah.
And every journalist was blinded by this, willingly blinded by this, because it helped their side and it helped people that they agreed with and helped the narrative that they wanted to push out there.
Habibi.